Imagine a habit so powerful that if practiced regularly, it can strengthen memory, balance emotions, reduce inflammation, and even extend the years of life with clarity. This habit doesn't come in a pill, nor does it require a prescription. It's called sleep. But not just any sleep. We're talking about restorative sleep, the kind that cleanses, renews, and regenerates. And interestingly, this type of sleep was already defended nearly 2,000 years ago by one of the greatest physicians of antiquity, Galen of Pergamon. Galen was not just a physician. He was also a practical philosopher, an observer of the body and the soul. For him, good sleep was one of the fundamental pillars of longevity and of balancing the so-called humours of the body. But what is perhaps most impressive is that his recommendations are still relevant today, even in the face of all modern technology. In this video, we are going to revive that ancient wisdom and apply it practically. The aim here is not to talk about medication or quick fixes. It's to offer you a guide so that you, who wish to age with quality, autonomy, and serenity, can build your own sleep routine based on Stoic wisdom and the advice of one of the greatest physicians in history. By the end of this content, you'll have in your hands clear, natural, and medicine-free guidance to sleep better. And even more, you'll understand why, according to the ancients, sleep was also a way to prepare for life and for death with dignity. Before we continue, a special invitation. If you value content that unites ancient wisdom with practical health, subscribe to this channel. Leave a like. That tells us this kind of material is meaningful to you. And if any part connects with your routine or reflections, share it in the comments. Your experience might inspire others to sleep better and live more fully. Who was Galen, the physician who understood sleep 2,000 years ago? When we speak of Galen, we're talking about someone who shaped Western medicine for over 1,500 years. He was born in 129 AD in Pergamon, in what is now Turkey, a city famous for its center of healing and wisdom. Galen was a physician for gladiators, which required him to treat serious injuries and understand the body in its rawest and most practical form. Later, he became the court physician to the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Yes, the same Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic, the philosopher of self-control and mortality. Not by chance, Galen was also deeply interested in philosophy. He believed that true medicine couldn't be separated from ethics, diet, and daily habits. For him, taking care of health was above all an exercise in reason, moderation, and constant awareness, and in that context, sleep held a central place. Galen studied the rhythms of the body, digestion, and the effects of stress and emotions on nighttime rest. He believed that sleep was when the body cooked food and repaired the damage of the day. Poor sleep, therefore, was a sign of imbalance, not just a minor setback to be ignored or masked with substances. Today, many of these ideas have been confirmed by modern scientific research. Galen didn't have labs or MRIs, but he had sharp observation, practical experience, and the perspective of someone who treated the human being as a whole. Sleep and longevity, a connection Galen already observed. Galen didn't speak of longevity with the modern terminology we use today, but he clearly understood that the quality of sleep was one of the keys to a long and functional life. In his writings, he emphasized that sleep is the time when the body performs its deepest recovery processes. Food is digested, tissues are rebuilt, and humors are stabilized. He observed, for example, that people with regular sleep routines had fewer inflammatory diseases, fewer digestive issues, and greater mental clarity. These observations, based on years of clinical practice, are now confirmed by modern scientific studies. One example, researchers at Harvard University have shown that adults who sleep less than 6 hours per night have a higher risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and cognitive decline. This directly echoes what Galen warned nearly 2 millennia ago and more. He said the body is like fertile soil. Without rest, the ground doesn't regenerate. In other words, sleep is the fertile interval where health is rebuilt. It's fascinating how this thought fits the Stoic ideal of living in harmony with nature. Sleeping well is not just a biological function, it's an act of respect toward the body, a gesture of coherence with life's natural cycle. The 4 enemies of sleep. According to Galen, Galen identified 4 main habits that compromised sleep. And most impressively, they're still the same villains in our time. He called them disturbers of nighttime balance. Here they are: overeating or eating too late. For Galen, going to bed with a full stomach interfered with the cooking of food, his term for digestion. A body busy digesting cannot rest. Today, we know that heavy dinners do reduce sleep quality and increase the risk of reflux and metabolic disorders. Agitated emotions at the end of the day. Galen observed that worries, anger, and arguments near bedtime left the body boiling, and that inner agitation prevented true rest. The Stoics like Epictetus taught the same. To sleep in peace, we must train the mind during the day. Noisy or bright environment. Though he didn't know modern concepts like melatonin, Galen already perceived that the environment directly influences the quality of rest. He recommended silence, darkness, and order in the room, what we now call sleep hygiene, messy and uncomfortable bed. To him, the bed should be neither too hard nor overly soft. Both disturbed the body. He saw the bed as a medical instrument, simple, clean, and welcoming, but without indulgences that weaken. By observing these 4 enemies, we realize that much of our struggle with sleep comes from unconscious habits. Galen invites us to revisit those behaviors, not with guilt, but with attention. The influence of the humors on sleep. To understand how Galen viewed sleep, it's necessary to grasp, simply, the theory of the 4 humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. These fluids, according to him, circulated throughout the body and directly influenced our physical and mental state. It may sound outdated, but here's the value in this view. Galen noticed that when these humors were imbalanced, sleep was one of the first things affected. A modern diagnosis wasn't needed to see it. Someone who's too anxious, for example, struggles to disconnect at night. For Galen, that would be an excess of yellow bile, too much active energy at the wrong time. On the other hand, someone constantly tired, drowsy during the day, and a light sleeper might be dominated by phlegm or black bile, associated with sluggishness and melancholy. Today we know these states reflect hormonal imbalances, inflammation, or nutrient deficiencies. But the lesson remains: sleep reflects inner harmony. Galen recommended adjusting habits to rebalance the humors. Light meals, warm baths, silence, and above all, time. The body needs time and consistency to find its natural point of rest. That is the foundation of medicine-free care. Not masking your symptoms, but restoring balance. Seneca and nighttime moderation, the secret to a calm body. Seneca, the master of moderation, said that the body must be treated with a certain harshness so it does not rebel against the soul, That powerful phrase applies directly to our nighttime routine. He didn't see comfort as the enemy, but excess. For Seneca, pleasures taken too far, like overeating, late drinking, or endless distractions, unsettle the mind and body, and the first sign of that disorder appears at bedtime. Galen agreed. He recommended simple dinners a few hours before sleeping with easily digestible ingredients, not out of Puritanism, but because moderation prepares the body for rest. A light dinner is, in truth, a gift you give your future self. This philosophy also extends to stimuli. Instead of noisy TV, family arguments, or intense social media, the Stoics propose a quieter, more contemplative evening, a time when the body slows down and the mind turns inward. A practical idea: try ending the day with a warm cup of tea, soft lighting, and a simple 3-line journal, writing down something good from the day, something you could improve, and a thought to take to bed. Moderation, in this case, isn't deprivation. It's care. It's wisdom applied to the body, so it can rest in peace. Epictetus and self-control. Sleep as a ritual of discipline. Epictetus, one of the most practical Stoic philosophers, taught that true freedom begins with self-control. For him, inner peace wasn't a matter of chance. It was the result of daily training. And that training, he said, is reflected even in how we sleep. In Epictetus's view, sleep shouldn't be a chaotic collapse that happens when the body shuts down from exhaustion. On the contrary, sleep should be a ritual, repeated with intention and order, a practice of gentle discipline, like training a pet to calmly lie down in its place. Today, we call this sleep hygiene, but the core idea remains. The brain loves routine. When we teach the body to sleep at the same time, with the same actions, signals, and transitions, it begins to understand it's time to stop. Epictetus spoke of prohairesis, the ability to choose our actions clearly. He would say, "You can't control the exact moment sleep comes, but you can control how you prepare to receive it. And that preparation involves simple decisions. Turn off screens 30 minutes before bed. Slow down your voice and breathing. Use a familiar scent, like lavender, to create association. Replace white light with amber or candlelight. These small rituals are like keys that unlock the door to rest. By applying them, you not only sleep better, you affirm through action that you have mastery over your own routine. That is freedom. That is Epictetus applied to real life. Marcus Aurelius. Preparing for sleep is preparing for death. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and philosopher, once wrote in his nighttime meditations, "When I sleep, I surrender my body as if I were surrendering my soul to death, and I wake renewed as if returning to life." For him, sleep was not just a physiological act, it was a metaphor. Each night was a rehearsal for death, a gesture of detachment, a moment in which we release control, anxiety, unfinished task, and simply surrender. This thought, far from being grim, is deeply liberating, because when we understand that we do not control everything, not even the arrival of sleep, we can stop fighting it. We can stop blaming ourselves for not sleeping, and instead accept the night as part of life's natural cycle. Today, many older adults suffer from insomnia, not just because of the body, but because of a restless mind. Thoughts of loss, regrets, fears, loneliness. Marcus teaches us that night doesn't have to be a battlefield. It can be a sacred moment of peaceful surrender. The Stoic approach to sleep in this sense is an exercise in humility. Did you do what you could today? Did you act with justice, temperance, and mindfulness? Then you can rest and trust that the world will continue its course. Every night is an opportunity to begin again, to end the day with dignity and be reborn with lightness. Isn't that also the way to live well? A practical nighttime routine inspired by the Stoics. Now that we understand the principles, it's time to put them into practice. Here's a simple and effective routine inspired by Galen, Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius that anyone can adapt to their reality. Hours before sleep. Avoid heavy meals and arguments. Choose light dinners in silence. Turn off the news and replace it with something calm, light reading or instrumental music. Hour before sleep. Dim the lights in the house. If possible, use warm lights or candles. This signals the body that it's time to shut down. Prepare a calming infusion. Chamomile, anise, or mulungu are great options. Minutes before, take a warm bath or wash your face with hot water. This helps relax muscles and lower internal body temperature. A natural sleep trigger. Write in your journal something you learned, something you'd like to improve, and something you're grateful for. Lie down with intention. Before closing, your eyes mentally recite something Stoic. I do not own time, only my actions. May I sleep in peace with a clear conscience. Breathe deeply, exhaling slowly. With each exhale, let go of the day. This routine doesn't need to be rigid. It's an invitation, a ritual environment that tells the body and mind the struggle is over, and rest is well deserved. Like a temple of calm you build every night. Natural resources, infusions, oils, and breathing. Galen recommended using plants, vapors, and aromas as sleep aids, not as magic solutions, but as natural stimuli that prepared the body for rest. This approach is still very helpful, especially for those who want to avoid medication. Soothing infusions. Medicinal herbs have been used for centuries to promote sleep. Some of the most effective include chamomile, gentle, digestive, calms the mind. Anise, aids digestion and reduces bloating at night. Mulungu or passion flower, more potent, ideal for those feeling anxious. Lemongrass and lavender pair well with meditation or calm reading. Tip: avoid sugar or artificial sweeteners in these infusions. The natural flavor of the herbs already sends the right signal to the body. Essential oils. Used since ancient times, the right aromas have power over our nervous system. Lavender, scientifically proven to be relaxing. Use in a diffuser or on a cloth by your pillow. Sweet orange, gentle antidepressant, ideal for melancholic nights. Cedarwood or sandalwood convey a feeling of grounding and connection to the earth. Use them in moderation. 1 or 2 drops is enough. Breathing, the remedy within you. Conscious breathing is one of the oldest ways to induce sleep. Try the 4-7-8 technique. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 7 seconds. Exhale slowly for 8 seconds. Repeat 3 to 5 times. It calms the nervous system and reduces heart rate. Exactly what Galen aimed for with his cooling body methods. These tools, when used regularly, teach the body to fall asleep naturally, without dependencies, without haste, without fear. What to do when sleep doesn't come. The wisdom of acceptance. One of today's biggest mistakes is turning sleep into an obligation. I have to sleep now, we think. But the more we demand sleep, the further it drifts. And here, the Stoics teach us something valuable. Sleep is not a goal. It's a consequence. Marcus Aurelius would write during his sleepless nights. Epictetus suggested that if something is beyond our control, like sleep, we should approach it with acceptance, not resistance. Galen, in turn, recommended that if sleep doesn't come, it's best to get up, walk a bit, breathe, and only then return to bed. Today, science confirms it. Getting up briefly and doing something calming, reading, listening to soft music or writing, is more effective than staying in bed fighting wakefulness. The key is not to associate the bed with frustration. Some practical tips for those difficult nights. Don't look at the clock. It only increases anxiety. Don't dwell on problems. Write down what's on your mind to clear your head. Use breathing as an anchor. Feel the air go in and out without forcing it. Mentally repeat calming phrases like, "This too shall pass," or "My body is safe even while awake." Wisdom lies in understanding. Not every night will be perfect, but every night can be dignified, peaceful, and respectful toward your body. Sleeping well begins with the calm acceptance of when sleep doesn't come, without guilt, without struggle. That is Stoic serenity in its purest form. Sleep as spiritual practice and self-care. After everything we've seen, perhaps the most valuable lesson is this: sleeping well isn't just about caring for the body, it's about nurturing the soul. Sleep is the mirror of our relationship with time, with control, with silence, and with ourselves. Galen saw sleep as a moment of healing. Physically, yes, but also mentally. The Stoics treated it as part of philosophical living, a daily opportunity for reflection, gratitude, and surrender. It's no coincidence they ended their day reflecting on what they had done with justice, temperance, and courage. Sleeping peacefully is a way of dying peacefully and waking with purpose. It's accepting that the day is over. It's trusting the body. It's giving yourself the right to begin again. May this routine, inspired by such lucid minds from history, guide you as a personal ritual, not as a rigid recipe, but as a possible path, adaptable, human, conscious, and now a final invitation, if I may. If you've made it this far, it's because you value real knowledge and true care. So, subscribe to the channel to receive more content like this, always grounded, practical, and created with respect. Leave a like if this video brought you calm or clarity, and share in the comments what part of this routine touched you the most. What do you already do? What would you like to try? Your testimony could be the seed of restful sleep for someone else.